What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. This is the top 4 match from the World Championship 2014 of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is Shunsuke Hiyama, who went first, versus Niccolo Mazzoleni. From Italy, he went second. Shunsuke opened up with Artifact Sanctum and bottomless shop hole set, and then he passed to Niccolo. Niccolo tinkied for a Yamato, or he duality for a Tenki, a Yamato, and a Torrential. He took Yamato straight up. He already has another Tenki in his hand, so that's probably why he didn't take the Tenki. He probably didn't want to be. He probably wanted to get a guaranteed Yamato on board, because if his Tenki gets hit with Ignition, he can't play the other one until next turn. And he knows that Shunsuke is playing multiple copies of Ignition. So I found it to be interesting that he's playing Aristruda. I generally find that card to be awful. And I'm a little shocked that he's playing it. Most Bujin decks don't play Aristruda because it's too situational, and it being a standalone monster is really, really bad. When you compare it to the other 3 Beast Warriors like Harume, Mikazuki, and Yamato, like, its only purpose really is just for like Xyz summoning. You know what I mean? But then it's like Harumi just does such a better job, you know, because her stats, and because she's special summon, she's just like far better. When Harumi came out, I thought that Aristruda was just going to never be played again. Okay, so Yamato was summoned. Shunsuke opts not to bottomless it. Instead, he's going to activate Sanctum, bring out Muratek. Muratek's going to pop Yamato. So even though he only opened with 5 cards, he still get a +1 there. I expect Niccolo to activate Tenki, probably get another Yamato, and set maybe the Fiendish Chain and simply pass turn. At this point, you know, I don't think that he would go for Harume just because he has another duality in hand, so it'll be like forever before he can summon Harume. I don't want to. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you like have Harume but you don't use it. He opts to just set to and pass, which was kind of surprising. I wonder why he didn't activate the Tenki. At least find out if your opponent has, you know, like an MST set, because you want to get rid of both back row. Now Shunsuke has another Sanctum, Artifact, Catechus, Call of the Haunted, and Dp-Ygo. So he's got a pretty Bujin hate heavy hand, because Dp-Ygo, your opponent could, you know, get a Yamato on board, mill what's it called, a turtle, or excuse me, a turtle or a hare to the graveyard, and then you can just crow it obviously during the end phase. The stream seems to be doing a little bit of a hiccup here, and you can see it's not me because I have it streamed all the way to here to 25 minutes, and I'm at 9 minutes, and yet it's like lagging. So it's not me, it's the stream. For some reason around this part of the duel, it just seems to have a lot of slowdown and stuff like that. So you see that Shunsuke opts to set the Catechus and probably the Call of the Haunted as well. No, he doesn't set the Call of the Haunted, or he might not have it yet. Okay, so anyways, Niccolo dualities for Harume. I believe that's Crow and Torrential Tribute. TT looks pretty decent. And so does, obviously, what's it called? I would say that Crane looks pretty good too, because you've got Mikazuki in hand. Obviously, if you get Crane off, then you just, you know, you get an extra card because you get Bujin Carnation during the end phase. But then, even if you're, even let's say hypothetically that your Mikazuki got bottomless, okay, then you can obviously just, what's it called, you can Tenki for Yamato. So either way, it looks pretty good. And Muratek is limited, so usually this would be like a no-win situation, because Shunsuke could activate that Artifact Sanctum and bring out another Muratek, but Muratek is limited, so that one copy he has on board, that's the only copy that he's allowed to play. So I think that he's in really good shape. Although he could obviously go for Bag Attack. Bag Attack could bring out Catechus, and then he could just, you know, do his thing from there. He could exceed, he could do a whole bunch of stuff. Niccolo still has some hoops to jump through, because he still has that bottomless to worry about. And I believe there's some debate over Bujinji Crane. and him adding it from Power Duality. Maybe both players don't know what it does, or maybe somebody doesn't. I always wonder about that in these games, why the judges constantly pick up cards and read them. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like commonly played cards. Like doesn't seem to be a reason for somebody to pick up like Bottomless Trap Hole, Searched Off Mellow, and read it. You know, who's not involved in the game. Like judge, like let me see that. Let me see that bottom. Let's make sure it does what I think it does. Like really? Come on, guys. You guys are judging at the World Championship. You should probably know these cards verbatim off the top. You see that Niccolo is sitting on 5,900, obviously because he took a direct shot from Muratek to 2,100. So Niccolo adds Crane to the hand. I believe the judge is shuffling his deck. I think that judges are doing all the final cuts to make sure that there's no funny business going on. And he has Phoenix Chain. He played Tenki. Yeah, he obviously played his Tenki. That's how he got the Tenki on board. And it looks like he's going to search. So he searches for Yamato. And we could see a Bottomless Trap Hole here. If I was Shunsuke, I'd probably use the Bottomless on it. I mean, if I can keep Yamato off the field, I feel like I'm in great shape. Niccolo checks his back row in his graveyard. You have no hair, so you might as well banish that. Yep. He opts to set a Phoenix Chain and then pass turn. Yeah, he's realizing that he didn't shuffle his deck after the Tenki. You can see he has Aristruda and Mikazuki in his hand. He could not summon the Mikazuki because I believe he duality that turn for the second Phoenix Chain. Again, Niccolo's not in terrible shape because what he basically needs to do is he needs to be able to get some value out of those Phoenix Chains. He definitely needs to get a Carnation. Now things could get bad here because MegaTech does change that a bit. I believe that's what he's going to go for. Now, if Niccolo had a Torrential, he'd be golden. He'd just wait for him to summon all his monsters, and then he'd just be like, TT for the win. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that. Alright, so he goes MegaTech. MegaTech's going to summon Catacus. I believe I used to call her Cadmus, like the chick from the Hunger Games. So that hits the graveyard. I don't know, is that the draw one? I totally forget. Yeah, I think that's the draw one. I think that's the one that that lets you draw cards when other artifacts are summoned. So he puts that one in attack mode, 1600, I guess why not? It's pretty decent. Okay, you see he has double Cyclone, but nothing on field to use it with. If I was Niccolo, I wouldn't panic. I'd probably just take all of the attacks. I wouldn't need Phoenix Chain. The only thing I would probably want to Phoenix Chain would be NXC. As long as I have 1,000 life points, I feel comfortable. So the fact that Shunsuke has that DD Crow is going to hurt Niccolo a lot, because even if he gets to Carnation, DD Crow could just stop Carnation in its tracks. I think DD Crow was actually a really good choice in the main deck because it's good against Bujin, it's good against Infernity, good against Mermail, and those are all decks that were played in this event. So, and there was expected to be a lot of Infernity. Okay, so he's sitting at 800 life points. Again, no need to panic yet. The Call of the Haunted could be cause for concern because Call of the Haunted on Muratek means that you get another pop, and let's say your opponent responds to it with Phoenix Chain, okay, then you can just like double Cyclone it, you know what I mean? So the effect would still go off, even if Muratek isn't on board anymore and the Call of the Haunted is destroyed. So it's like you just get maximum value out of that. If I'm Shunsuke, I think what I do is I exceed using Muratek and MegaTech into Zemayo, and I try and pop your back row. Because I mean, if you don't use a card, you're going to lose both of them anyway. I feel like that's a better answer to 2 cards than going Polites. Because with Polites, you really don't have... I mean, you could bounce your Cadmus, but what's the point? I feel like that's a better play than Polites. I feel like it's a better play. Unless you plan on... No. You don't have Call of the Haunted set. Yeah. The best play here, in my opinion, would be making Zamayo. I don't think that's what he's going to do, because nobody seems to play Zamayo anymore. But that's what I would do. And if I was playing that many artifacts, I'd be running every rank 5 I could think of, basically. Like all the good ones. Maybe not Adrius. That card isn't... I don't know if you really need that anymore. But Zamayo, I definitely have 1 copy of Zamayo. Because if I feel like I can get rid of both of your back row, and then I've got Call of the Haunted for Murotech and the DD Crow. I'm sorry, Bujins. Like, how are you coming back against 8,000 light points? He goes for Polites. Okay. I guess he feels like with Polites, okay, he bounces a card. And Fiendish Chain is played on the Polites. I guess maybe he thought like he could he felt maybe that he could bounce his own Murotech and reset it and then double Cyclone it and then Call of the Haunted it. So I could get that. Now, unfortunately for him, he can just overlay M7 on top of that, so effectively dodging it. Or he could go Gaia Dragon. For the life of me, I will never understand why nobody plays M7. It's like people don't understand M7 has an effect. Like M7 gets an addition. M7 can bounce cards too. No one gets that. It's baffling. Now he has the Call of the Haunted set. Again, I think Shunsuke could have done way better. Like, I think it would have been key to try and get Murotech into the graveyard just so that he could have more disruption with Call of the Haunted. Anything that Niccolo would have done right here, he'd have just been like Call of the Haunted. Now, he drew a Hair, which is one of the worst cards he could have possibly drawn. He needed a spell. He needed a spell or a trap. He needed more... Basically, he just needed more back row hate. Niccolo's in a tight spot. I don't think I see him winning this game. Because he doesn't have any way of special summoning. I believe he has Hair, Aristruda, Mikazuki. Those are 3 of the cards. And then he has a 4th card. The problem is there's no way to special summon in that. You can special summon Mikazuki, but only if Aristruda dies, in which you've already used your normal summon. Now, if he could get this Susanoo, it'd be over. Susanoo will just clear shit out. He gives no fucks. You get a Crane. Oh, no, he has Crane. I'm sorry. That's the 4th card. Probably normal summons Mikazuki. Going to probably try and Crane over the Gaia Dragon. It's not going to really get it. It's not going to get the job done, but he doesn't know that yet. See, this is why I don't like Aristruda. That card is awful. I would rather play Lance or something. I would play Max C or DD Crow or Valor before I play that card, because Aristruda is just awful. It's a bad Yu-Gi-Oh card. It was good before Harumi came out, but then when Harumi came out, there was no reason to ever play it. And most Bujin builds didn't even play Aristruda before Harumi came out. You see, he just passed his turn. I guess he feels like he can use his Fiendish Chain and his Crane to protect him. Little does he know, all Shunsuke really has to do is attack with Murotech, and then he can simply play Call of the Haunted if he cranes him, and then he can still blow up the Mikazuki. And once again, if Niccolo plays Fiendish Chain on the Murotech, all he has to do is chain double Cyclone from Call of the Haunted and Fiendish Chain, and Murotech's effect will resolve. He'll be able to crash through with Gaia Dragon and win. So, assuming Shunsuke doesn't fuck it up, he should be able to win this turn. I know Yu-Gi-Oh players sometimes like to overcomplicate plays. This isn't complicated. This is not. Not when Call of the Haunted is what uncomplicated this. Because Call of the Haunted means you can use your Murotech again. Now they seem to be asking about life points or something which I'm not quite sure. Usually if I know that I have game in sight, I'm not trying to use the judges for anything. I don't want to interpret anything. I just want to make my winning play, try and win as quick as possible. because the more time that I take, the more time I am to second, or the more likely I am to second guess myself or to know that I have a good play and to somehow screw it up. I cannot tell you how many regionals I've gone to and I've seen someone overcomplicate and think themselves out of a winning play and end up losing. I mean, this would be absolutely horrible if he lost this game right here, but I just don't see it happening. You need to do nothing more than simply attack with your Murotech. Niccolo will immediately use Crane. Murotech will die. You call up the Haunted back. Niccolo will have no option but to use his Phoenix Chain, because if he doesn't use Phoenix Chain, his card will get blown up. Not to mention at that point, he could just simply, he wouldn't even technically have to use the Double Cyclone. Okay, so he opts to use Double Cyclone. I believe this is during the end phase on the Phoenix Chain. Okay. And then he uses Call of the Haunted. And he goes for Pleiades. Okay, so Pleiades bounces and then he can just attack. I guess that was one way of getting it done. Yeah, that was one way of getting it done. It didn't really matter. There were about 5 different ways for Shunsuke to win. The Call of the Haunted and the Double Cyclone pretty much ensured victory. The fact that Niccolo was already sitting on he was already sitting on, one dead monster or one dead Phoenix Chain, meant that Shunsuke didn't really have to worry about anything but one back row, and he already had one back row covered with what's it called? He already had the one back row covered with the Double Cyclone. I felt like there was really, even Honest wouldn't have mattered in that situation because of the Murotech effect. The Murotech effect blows up Mikazuki. Now, I guess technically, had he had Mikazuki in his hand, maybe it would have been a little different, but no, that wouldn't have played around the Pleiades. I was thinking if he had Aristrudel on field, that it still doesn't play around the Pleiades at all. So, unfortunately for him, Shunsuke just uses Call of the Haunted. He goes for an Exceed, then he uses Double Cyclone on the Call of the Haunted, and that's pretty much a wrap. Alright, let's zip ahead, get rid of this shuffling jazz, and see if we can find ourselves the next game. This isn't an awful matchup for Niccolo. Cards like Debunk will obviously help him. Okay, stream, go. There he goes. Alright, so can't tell who's going first or second. Shunsuke has Debunk, Mind Control, Catechus, Big Attack, and Torrential. It's not the greatest hand. I mean, I kind of look at it as if Niccolo has Yamato, he should be able to win. Because if he's going first, he could have Yamato and Hair on field. And then Shunsuke just wouldn't have any removal. Like, he wouldn't have any ways of stopping Hair. I mean, yeah, he could debunk it, but he doesn't have any way of killing Hair. So, unfortunately, he doesn't open with Yamato. And then on top of that, Shunsuke gets a card D, so he's sitting on, like, tons of cards. I expect Shunsuke to play Torrential Tribute and Debunk at a minimum face down. The card D gets him another card. I believe it's a Card Trooper and a Bottomless. And this is looking really bad for Niccolo because he really needed to get Yamato turn 1, and he just doesn't have it. He hits Debunk, which is not the best hit. He needed to hit that Torrential so that he could safely exceed. Although, I'll say this, Harume changes things, because Harume now makes the Carnations live. If I was him, I'd probably just summon Quillin and try and exceed. Actually, no, I'd summon Quillin and attack. Yeah, I believe that's what he does. I believe he summons Quillin. If it didn't get Torrential, I'd attack with both. And then I'd exceed for Susono. With Susono, I would go for Yamato, but it looks like he got Torrential. Yep, he's showing him Torrential Tribute. Again, he's not in that bad of a situation because he can still summon Harumi, and he still would have Quailin. He still would have Quailin ready to go. Now, having Crane and Harumi, I think I'd just leave my field open. I'd just pass turn. Because if I summon Harumi, I want to be able to pop something with Quailin, and then know that if Harumi dies, I still have Bujin Carnation as like my backup plan. But I don't think that he should just summon Harumi and attack into an empty back row. It's not worth it. Losing the advantage is not worth the 2,000 damage. It really isn't. Now, if your opponent was at like 3,000 life points, okay, it'd be different. But at 8,000, you're not gonna outgrind your opponent with that many cards in hand. Okay, I guess he is gonna summon Harumi. Probably removing Mikazuki. And I guess he's just going to swing. I don't think he gets a lot of value here because he could be sitting there with... he could be... I think that he should have put himself in a position where he could have used Quailin twice. That's all I'm saying. A way to get back advantage is by using Quailin because it's basically just free pluses. You get to blow up stuff on your opponent's field. Let's say he could have... I don't know. He'd have... Well, see, I expect him to summon Card Trooper. I'm trying to think of a monster that he would have summoned, maybe, that he could have just popped with Quailin, then summoned, or he could have summoned Harumi, popped it with Quailin, attacked, and then if Harumi died, use Carnation later, and then you could get your Quailin back into the graveyard after it's seeing and use it again. But he opts to just attack into an empty back row. I mean, the attack's going to go through, so he'll get his 2,000 damage. And, I mean, it is bigger than Card Trooper. I just don't like the thought of putting Harumi out there with no protection. I mean, it has Crane. That's cool, but I don't know. So, it looks like there seems to be a stoppage of play for some reason. Not 100% sure. Bujins aren't new to the OCG or anything. Okay, so, yes, he banished Mikazuki, leaving Quailin in the graveyard. He has Crane in his hands. And T has nothing to do but simply pass turn to Shunsuke. Okay. He'll probably give Shunsuke a signal. Okay, there it is. That he's going to pass turn. And let's see if we can find out what Shunsuke drew. He sets Card Trooper. He has a Megatech in hand. Alright, now he's picking up his Card Trooper. I think they're trying to decide, yeah. I think Niccolo may have said to the judge, hey, he set the card. So he has to, you know, leave it set. Shunsuke has another debunk set. He's only one card right now he can debunk is the Quailin. And generally, that's not what you want to debunk. You generally want to debunk something like I don't know, like a hare or a turtle where you can make a major impact. He's got I believe that Niccolo just drew Pot Duality, so he's not going to be doing any type of exceeding this turn if he wants to use that duality anyways. And he still has that Carnation that he had from turn 1, and then he has Crane, which he duality for. No way, I'm not sure if he duality for it. He's got Crane in the hand, that's all you need to know. I guess he's looking at Shunsuke's graveyard. Nope, he simply attacked. And this is main phase 2. He's going to activate duality for another Carnation, another Crane, ugh. And Aristruda, that horrible card that he shouldn't be playing. Looks like he's going to opt to take the second Carnation. That's good. He's got racks and racks of Carnations. I really, really don't understand why he kept Aristruda in. There's so many better choices. Robbery of Warlords, people. Play that card. Against the artifact deck, it's so good. You artifact the, you take their Muratek, and then when it comes back, you get to blow up a card on their field. It is just sick. And it's usually bigger than most of their monsters. It's not like the artifact deck plays many monsters that are over 2100. You still they're one artifact more attack and they don't have any more to counter you with. Like it gets brutal. Alright, so 6k to 8k. That's the life point total. Shunsuke obviously has the debunk. He's got a couple of artifacts back there in his back row just chilling. At least one. He needs a way to trigger these guys. He drew a dark hole, which is totally live. Although I guess he has to watch how he plays it because he knows that Niccolo has a Bujin Carnation that he just duality for, and obviously he won't hesitate to use it. Although, Shunsuke does have the Bottomless to counter the Carnation, so there's that. This is some next level Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I believe he just set card and just passed it back to Niccolo, not using the dark hole. Obviously, he set the bottomless trap hole, and he's got 5 in the back row. Niccolo, knowing that he probably doesn't want to commit more to the board, simply attacks for 2,000. And I can't see what his newly drawn card was. He's got an Artifact Sanctum down there. Oh, here it comes. Artifact Sanctum will almost certainly go for Beg Attack. And actually, if he resolves that, he'll draw a ton of cards with Catechus. Okay, so there's Beg Attack in attack mode. And we could see a run back here. Because, unfortunately, all Niccolo's cards are, you know, his Crane, they're all kind of reactive. And if he is to make a Volcasaurus right now, it will put in some serious work. And you see him drawing a card for Catechus. Again, keep in mind, he still does have that bottomless trap hole. So there's nothing stopping him from going Volcasaurus and then overlaying that into a Gaia Dragon. And then everyone attacking. And that completely dodges Crane, by the way. And then he'd still have bottomless trap hole to back him up. Oh lord, he has Solemn Warning too. Okay, I don't see any way that Niccolo can win this duel. He hasn't, there's been 2 duels, he hasn't gotten 1 layer of protection in his graveyard. The layers of protection when it comes to Bujins are simple. They're Hare, they're Turtle, and they're Senryu. Those are your layers of protection. Each one of those should either eat up a card from your opponent, or they should put you in a position where they give you protection for at least 1 turn. Those are your 3 layers of protection. Usually Bujins want at least 2. Niccolo has never had 1. Why did they see that, or why did they like this the win column up as red? I mean, was green not sufficient enough? I'm pretty sure everyone has gotten it by now that simply lighting it up green is sufficient. Making 1 green and 1 red, in my opinion, even it complicates things. Like, why is that even necessary? Now, I think Shunsuke's best play here, in my opinion, I don't think he'll do it because nobody, for some reason, whatever I think is not what these competitors ever do. I think his best play here is to make Volcasaurus use the effect. That's 2,000 damage right there, right? You then exceed into Gaia Dragon. If that attacks, that's 4,600 damage. If you attack with Catechus, that's 1,600 on top of the 46. That's 6,200. That puts your opponent into Soul Charge. That puts them in a position where Soul Charge can now only get 1 monster. He uses Mind Control and he summons Dianera. Yeah, that's an OTK. Sorry, I didn't know that he had Dianera. That changes things. Now I don't think that you need to use Volcasaurus at all. Now I think that I would change my plans into making Pelias. Looks like he's going to attack with everybody. You know what? I think it's premature for me to say OTK. He can't attack. He can still make Cowboy. Always keep that in mind. He can make Cowboy. That's 800 on top. He attacks for 28 with the 2 bag attacks. I believe he attacked 16 with the Catechus. He attacked 17 with I'm having a brain fart with Dianera, and then it looks like he's gonna go Rhapsody of Berserk. removing both of his monsters in the graveyard, obviously so that he cannot use Bujin Carnation. And, oh man, then he makes the Rundle. That's even worse because now he can use that to basically just counteract anything that Niccolo wants to do. Mainly Dark Hole, but yeah, the Rundle is pretty much the counter for Bujins. I've played against the Rundle a couple of times. It's a pretty difficult card to get over. It really is, because you have to, like, a lot of times inherently exceed. First off, no summons that Niccolo is going to do are safe. He can simply, all he has to do is simply use Warning or Bottomless Trap Hole against any summon Niccolo wants to do. His Bujin Carnation that he already knew that Niccolo had, it's instantly gone. That's one card in Niccolo's hand that is irrelevant. What Shunsuke doesn't know is that Niccolo has 2 Carnations. So that's 2 cards in his hand that are irrelevant. And then you think, well, the Rundle should cover, the Rundle should at least get me 1 card, because I can just change its effect. So the Rundle should cover another card. So that's 3 cards that are irrelevant. And then if you summon anything, I'll Bottomless Sass Warning. So that's 4 cards that are irrelevant. So Niccolo's 5 cards hand, he has 5 cards in hand, although just looking at Shunsuke's board, between the Rundle, the Solemn Warning, that should cover 4 cards, and the Carnations that are dead. You know what I mean? 4 cards are dead, but Shunsuke should only know that 3 cards are dead. So it's still good odds. Again, when Shunsuke made the Rhapsody, he thought, okay, I'm going to kill your Carnation. That's not going to be a live card. If you summon anything, I'm going to Bottomless the heck out of it. That's not going to be live. And then, if you play any spells, anything powerful, I'm just gonna Durundle it. So that's not gonna be live either. Realistically, I do not see a way that Niccolo can win, unless the only out I would say that Niccolo has, and I don't know if Shunsuke can activate the Durundle in the damage step. If he had a fire or ice, no, sorry, that wouldn't work. He would just warning it. Yeah, that wouldn't work. I'm sorry, he would just warning it. Yeah, I totally forgot he had warning. Okay, so I expect Bottomless Trap Hole on this Mikazuki. He does, and that should proceed with a Scoop Phase. There simply is not a way to come back from this. Not with the hand that Niccolo has. Shunsuke played really well. I'll give him props. He played extremely well, and for Niccolo, he didn't get the layers of protection that he needed. So you see the Bottomless resolves. He can set a bunch of bluff cards. It doesn't matter. All Shunsuke needs is 1 attack to win. I mean, he'd basically have to go runner. Like, he would have to go like Mirror Force plus like Breakthrough Skill. You know what I mean? Or Mirror Force plus Phoenix Chain or something silly like that. I also think that it's pretty odd that we didn't see any Breakthrough Skills from Niccolo. I think Breakthrough Skill is damn near staple in Bujins because of artifacts and because of some of the cards that we Bujin players historically struggle against. You see that he tries to use D-Prison, and Shunsuke says, I'll redirect that to my back row, and then he simply wins. But as I was saying, Breakthrough Skill historically is good against some of the counter Bujin cards. Cards like Abyss Dweller, cards like Ragnar Zero. Those are cards that, you know, Bujins can be seriously hurt by because Ragnar Zero can blow up stuff if you have Tinky on the field, and then Abyss Dweller turns off your graveyard protection. Abyss Gaios, another one. So we see that Shunsuke makes pretty quick work of Niccolo. Hopefully we can get some more interesting games. Thank you guys for watching as always. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely check out my Kickstarter. Thank you guys for watching.